Okay. So, hey, everybody, it's Carrie with we're not really sure what we're going to call this. So I'll cut that part out. It's been a long time since I've recorded and I've waited for inspiration and really something that jazzed me, which I guess is inspiration. And this lovely person has popped into my life. So here we are, Houston 2023. And I would like for you guys to meet my new friend, Susie Taaffe.
Hello. Nice to be here. So lovely to be here. It's so lovely to meet you.
Right. I mean, we've hung out all day and it's just been fun. And I can't tell you how many things have just
So
overlapped.
many, so many, so many.
So I'll go back. When did you see Siri? It was last Thursday you guys called me?
Yes, last Thursday. What day is it today?
I know. I'm sitting here thinking this. Today is Tuesday.
Okay.
So my girlfriend, one of my very dearest friends in Australia, called and she said, you have to meet my friend, Susie. She's coming to the US. She's coming to Houston, and I would love for you guys to meet. And here we are. And we've spent all day. And I really thought we would spend a couple hours. We'd go through some things but no,
Nope.
we just kept going. I really wanted to start with you, and kind of give the background. You're here for business reasons, and we're going to start there because there's so much to cover. And she is a metaphysical mom, by the way. That's been like the best part of this whole thing. Well, one of the best parts. So what are you doing? Why are you here? Why are you in Houston? And by the way, we're having happy hour.
Happy hour. Why am I in Houston? Very good question. And I didn't really know why I was in Houston.
You follow the stones.
I followed the stones. Exactly. So I had this trip booked to Texas. I had it booked last year, 12 months ago, and the stars and gods did not align. And I was literally denied entry twice.
From where you live?
Yeah, from Australia. So my ESTA was denied. So because I had overstayed my visa apparently from 2019. Anyway, long story. This trip, then I just rebooked it because that's what I do. If I just try again.
Wait. Let's go back. You didn't overbook it though. You guys were in Hawaii, you said?
Yes. So I left Hawaii and they didn't stamp my passport. So they think that I overstayed my visa by 2 and a bit years, which Border Patrol does not like.
Yeah, you just stay
about
that.
They're a bit funny about that. And they weren't very easy to try and fix it either. So obviously the universe was blocking me. It wasn't time for Texas. It was time. I took my kids on a great holiday over Christmas and we did Disneyland, etc. So it opened up for that holiday. I was supposed to go on that one and not this one.
So that was just last Christmas?
Yeah, it's just gone. So yeah, right after the second trip I booked last year, was supposed to leave. Then my visa issues got sorted. So I knew that the Christmas trip was on, but this one was not. Anyway, this Texas trip, I got to the airport and they're like, oh, sorry, we've oversold your flight. You can't go on that flight. And I went, what is going on? I said, is this the cursed? Is it the universe blocking me again? And then they routed me through Sydney, which gave me a really long wait. And I probably should have just gone back home and then come back to the airport at lunchtime. And then I would have had a 2-hour wait or something. It would have been really easy. But I didn't think quite straight. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. And so pushing them back, I was like, oh God, why did I not stay? And then I thought, I didn't think of it. So I mustn't have been supposed to. So went to the lounge and met an amazing woman, an amazing mother of an amazing couple. And so then I could clearly see why the stones had been placed where they'd been placed.
Mm-hmm. So that is, we've been talking about that, and I loved finding out that you are very much of like mind, which is nothing happens by accident. So if you are on a 5 a.m., 6 a.m. flight and it gets postponed to 6 o'clock that next night, there's a reason for it. And you don't push it and you don't throw a fit and you don't, I want my way. You just say, okay, there's a reason. And then as it turned out, the person that you met, there were reasons you met them. I love that because when you just go with the flow, life just gets easy. It really does just get easy. And then it gets easier and easier. And so anyway, so then you flew into Dallas.
So then I flew into Dallas and I actually I'd booked a car and I hadn't booked anything else. And I literally was just being an open book. I had no idea where I was going to go, what I was going to do. I had some loose plans. And my friend messaged me and said, "Oh, you're in Dallas. I just landed. I'm leaving Cabo now. I'll be there at 9:30 tonight. We're staying in Fort Worth." And then Fort Worth was on one of my lists of places to go to. And where she was staying was the Stockyards area, which was also my exact place where I was going to go to. So I was like, okay, that's a pretty clear pebble lighting up. So I think I was sitting at the rental car company. I was like, right, okay, I'll jump on, booked a hotel in Fort Worth near there, and then went to Fort Worth. And then I had another pebble. It was just go to the Hotel Drover. Go to the Hotel Drover. I don't know what. Anyway, and then I met some more amazing people at the Hotel Drover. I met a wonderful lady who has been in business for years and years. She owns a packaging company, which is really like cardboard packaging. She's owned 3 of them, which is really random, but I just know she's a piece in the puzzle. I don't know where it fits yet, but I know she's a piece in something.
Right. Okay. So now tell us what you do.
Oh, yes. So the reason why I had the trip booked in the first place is I'm expanding my underwear range called Skanties into the US because they will be fabulous for the Texan summer.
Let's see those.
Yes.
Bring those panties out.
Yes.
Bring those Skanties out.
Well,
more taken off. Okay.
So they are longer leg length is the point.
And they're so soft
and really stretchy. So they're not shapewear. And this,
they're not our Spanx.
This part here is all cotton. So that part there is all cotton. I know that.
Call that the gusset?
It's called the gusset. It's not a pretty word. The gusset is not pretty. But so all cotton there. So that part is, there is nothing synthetic in that. And then I'll see if the camera can see my thumb through that, how sheer they are.
And they're so soft. I can't wait to wear them.
They're like thin stocking fabric, but with the comfort of a yoga band at the top. You know, they're like sort of like athletic underwear, like activewear underwear, but thin. So they're not hot.
Okay. But I like those too. Those are so pretty.
Pretty pink.
See, I would like to wear these with, I was telling you, like with like a sheer pants so that the skulls show through.
Yes.
So tell us, like, who is your market? Who's not your market?
Yeah, anyone that wants to feel amazing. Who wants to feel so comfortable. They're like second skin, but they will also, in the humidity, they'll stop your thighs from rubbing, but they're also fabulous under fitted dresses because you don't get any of the panty lines on the side. Mm-hmm. And because this thick waistband here, it displaces the pressure over this 6 centimeters here. So instead of having one tight bit that then you get the muffin top over, you've got the nice gradual displacement of the pressure. And then these here, this is actually structurally sewn there. So that prevents it from rolling up. So unlike, say, a Spanx or something that has where they're sort of knitted and they roll, this is actually, that seam there will prevent, they don't roll up. If you have the right size on, these will stay put all day, every day, up, down, turn around, inside out. They will be there.
So I know that you were telling me that they're really great for people that have had procedures. They're really great for people. Anyway, tell us about that.
Yes, because they have the stress. So because they're not compression and it's a second skin, and it's like your comfy yoga pants, you know, like you have a lot of movement in these. So any sort of surgeries or IVF or gynecological surgeries or gender affirmation surgeries, transitioning, HRT, anything that causes the body to change shape and bloat or become a different size, they're really supportive through that. Well, even, post-pregnancy, in pregnancy, postpartum. Also, as you know, after you've had the baby, your stomach does not go away straight away. So they're brilliant for that as well. They're also really good for the ostomy and ostomate communities. So I have had many reviews and feedback about how they can put their ostomy bag inside, and it just gives them the confidence to wear firmer fitting clothing with their pouches because they're nice and securely tucked inside the pants.
So ostomy is like a colostomy bag.
Yes. Wow,
I love the. So what prompted you to make these?
So I made them purely for myself to start with. I didn't even know that other people needed them, I suppose. because I originally made them to stop chafing. I just wanted something really thin that felt like I was wearing nothing and just made the pesky problem go away. I was like, I'm sick of this. And I think it's such a taboo thing to talk about. Like, people don't sit there and discuss their thighs chafing. No, no one sits around and discusses it.
Oh, we don't. I mean, that we talked a lot about things that we don't talk about, but that is okay. So if someone is interested in purchasing these, where do they go?
Oh, Skanties.com. No, not .com. It's not .com. It's .co. .co.
Yeah. It's Skanties with a K.
Yes.
Skanties.
Yes.
Skanties.co. So I have to say, you were telling me that you have an engineering background, like oil and gas pipeline engineering, not gussets and that type of thing. But you see something and this is really what intrigues me. You see something and you do it. So I wanted to wear these, so I went and I got them made. I designed them and I had them made. And by the way, she also she made maternity clothes. You manufactured maternity clothes too.
Yes. Yep. Me and my sister started doing that when we were 22 and 23. We definitely had not had a baby nor been pregnant and decided to take the maternity clothing market on its head. And I suppose that kind of brings back the seeing things and just sorting out how to make them, because that's what we did with the maternity clothing. We took normal, everyday, younger fashion and adapted it and put in special adjusters and shirred elastic to make them all sort of like adjustable and changeable so that they could literally be adapted to the human body as it changes over the 9 months and then back again. We quite like them to be worn afterwards as well. So this was a similar thing. It's like I knew what needed to be done and then I just had to figure out a way to do it, which is how they were born, because no one does this with the gusset like that in there. But for me, it was a crucial feature because a lot of women are highly susceptible to infections if they don't have purely synthetics, right? Cotton naturals, no synthetics down there whatsoever. So the area had to be large enough that those women could still wear this nice thin fabric on the legs, but with the enough cotton so that they weren't susceptible to the infections, because it does affect quite a large number of the population. So it had to sort of be a one size fits all thing.
I can't wait to try them. I can't wait to try them. This idea, I'm sorry, I'm back at your maternity. I think that's huge. It is, because I gained 80 plus pounds per kid. My body just morphed and changed. And you're right. Like I would buy, I think with my first one, by the time I realized I needed maternity, I mean, like that sperm hit the egg and my belly went boop and my butt went boop. I mean, it is. And by the third one, I had a teacher at one of our kids' school that said, I've never seen a butt grow that fast. But it is. So I was constantly buying clothes because I outgrew everything. And all the cute styles were for people that gained 20 pounds.
Yes.
Who gains 20 pounds?
No.
So kind of reminds me of the pants. And it took us forever to get these pants with the kids where they had the adjustable tabs.
Yes.
Why don't we have that? I mean, going through menopause, post-pregnancy, your body does morph. So good on you, man.
It really does. I love that. Those tabs, we use them in our maternity designs all the time with the little holes in them.
That is such a cool. Why don't we use those?
Well, we should. Yes, we should. And I think there needs to be more adaptable fashion. There needs to be more adjustable fashion, I think.
Because most people are not the same size.
No, especially over certain different times of the month. You can be 2 sizes different. And then back down depending on where you are with everything. And so and I think it's it's something that's becoming more spoken about, but I do think that it makes you feel bad about yourself. And that's one reason why I do not weigh myself, purely because you can't, like, what is fluid retention? What is water? Like, you don't know if that's your real weight or if it's not your real weight. And then you get depressed for no reason. And then you might wake up the next day and you're like 2 kilos lighter and you haven't done anything, or you've eaten really badly and you end up 3 kilos lighter. And it just makes no sense. So I just stopped playing that game.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And we just give it too much power.
Oh, we certainly do.
So I, again, am back on this, see a need, fill a need. And there are so many things that I would like to do. There's so many things I think, ooh, that'd be a great idea, but I don't actually do it. you actually do it, to go from making maternity clothes and then pipelines and then the Skanties. That's incredible. I mean, what were you always like this? Did you always have that entrepreneurial? And by the way, she's a mother of 3 kiddos.
I think I definitely did always have this entrepreneurial spirit. I remember, and I'll just flash back, and creative, like inventor. I think in another life, I must have been a crazy, mad inventor. And I think my inventions would have been like out there. This is quite basic compared to where I think I've been. But anyway, so I was always
going there.
Yeah. I remember back when I was about 6 or 7 years old, like thinking, why don't they sell? And I think they possibly even do sell them now, but I was thinking, for busy parents, why can't you go to the supermarket and buy the whole lunchbox already packed? Like, it's got the sandwich, it's got the popper, the juice box, it's got the pretzels and an apple or something. Like, it just made no sense to me why you couldn't just, all the ingredients are there in the supermarket. You should just, like, a lunch bag, and then you could have a breakfast bag if they had swimming training, or like, and I just, to me, that seemed just like an easy way to make money. And I actually think if you could have enacted it back then, it probably would have made money.
Yeah.
And then I remember also going with my cousin to the lolly shop or the sweet shop. And we had this idea, we're basically going to buy them in the big packs and then put them in smaller packs and sell them for a profit. So I was always scheming. It's funny because my eldest daughter is a total schemer too. I swear we'd be at the beach and we'd find some shells. She goes, do you think I can sell these? I said, no, darling, you cannot sell the shells to the people on the beach that they can access for free. I know. So she has the same. She will try to sell ice to the Eskimos. But I remember when we were at Stradbroke Island, which is a beautiful, like, tiny island in Australia, and she set up a little shop and she was doing tattoos, which was her using a glitter pen and drawing she only need one sign, the graffiti S that there is, or she was painting fingernails. And she made about $20 in about half an hour. Her fingernail, the painting was atrocious. It was all over their fingers, up their thumbs. It was so bad. And I was so embarrassed, but at the same time,
kind of impressed. I mean,
totally impressed that she can make money from doing fingernail painting that doesn't even cover, that's all over the fingers.
Okay, so I have 2 of those. I have my eldest son is in college, and he comes in. So he and his buddies went to my mother's house at the lake nearby, and they love to grill steaks. Okay, fine. Mm-hmm. So they go back to school. You're not allowed to have a grill. Well, they went and bought a grill. They went and bought meat. Someone apparently had food poisoning from the cafeteria, so they decided to sell steaks for $10 a piece. And I think they paid like $5. And so they made the money. And then I have another child that I remember dropping him off at school. He was in 7th grade. So what's that, like 12? And I just sat and I watched him. He went to school, turns around, comes back, goes into the convenience store, like the little tiny store, goes into the convenience store. He buys stuff and he goes back to school. He did exactly what you did. He sold it. And it's like, I'm not sure if I'm horrified or if I'm really impressed. I think a little bit of both. So I love seeing those entrepreneurial traits in folks and in kids. And I love that you encourage that. You and I connected over the spirituality, and we speak the same language, and we've had a lot of the same experiences, but our own unique, like, perspective on that. Along a path, you have these stones, and then a stone will light up and you step on that one and it's like, oh, and then you go over there. and yeah, you just keep moving. And when you surrender to that and you kind of trust that you will be led in the right place, life gets so much, I don't know if easy is the word, but it becomes more peaceful. And because when obstacles pop up, you don't freak out, you don't push against it, you don't break against that rock, you just sort of, like the water, you just kind of keep moving. And also, at least in my world, I find that I can make sense of the things that other people would deem bad. I can make sense of them. Have you always had that, or is that something? I mean, I know you're saying as a child.
I think it's probably become a lot more pronounced in my later life as I've sort of I suppose you have your wake up. Something always triggers your wake up, doesn't it? Like you get woken up. Right. And for me, that would have been the beginning of the ending of my marriage. Mm-hmm. And then you do look back on things. Like I look back on things, and I used to do especially when I was studying, I used to do this thing where I would just stare at the wall. Like I was going to give myself just a break to stare at the wall. And now what I know I was doing, I was like meditating in a form before meditating was even a thing. And I didn't know why I was doing it. So I think you do have you still do some of these things. And I've always been pretty easygoing as well. So I think that's a little bit like going with the flow. So I think some of it's innate, and then some of it, you then learn the why along the way. And so I think since the beginning of my marriage breakdown, that's when all the whys and and then you look back and you go, oh, I have been doing that, but I didn't know why I did it. But you were basically just like, you intuitively knew to do it, which was interesting.
Right. And I have found that a lot of times there are almost like programs that run in the background that I'm not aware of, and something will happen to bring them forward. Like, oh, that has a name. Yeah. I didn't know it had a name. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So how long ago did you guys split?
So the beginning of the end was 2014, middle of 2014. So we sort of had a 12-month period where I suppose I'm from the era where marriages don't break up, especially we had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Like you don't marriage
in the weeds. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't people don't walk out when you're in that. And it was actually my ex-husband that walked out, because I wouldn't have, because in my our belief system was you just didn't do that. You just kept working through. It didn't matter if you were unhappy. Yeah, totally. Exactly. With all your other friends and moaned about them over. Yeah, exactly. But my ex-husband was going through a bit of an existential crisis as well, because his father was dying. So he had this big life is meant to be, we're supposed to be happy. This is supposed to be. So I think if he hadn't been going, there was sort of like a whole mixed bag of events that aligned it that he left, because I think any one in particular wouldn't have probably been enough. But when you combine them all together, he was adamant. And I think it probably took him, I think he probably realized about 3 or 4 years after. So it took him about that long to realize, oh, oops. Yeah, that was a mistake. So it took him that long to sort of, I suppose you'd say, snap out of it. But weight is gone. It's done. Gone by then. And no.
Go. No.
I was just going to say, yeah, sorry, there's just no turning back, I think.
Well, I think that it is. So I lost my dad this past year, and my mom's husband of 35 years. I'm 51, so it wasn't my biological father. I guess it could have been, but I mean, anyway. So that is enough. That is enough to kick you in the teeth. And you do look and say, am I happy? Is this how I want to spend my life? Because life is a currency, and where do you want to put it? Like, how do you want to spend it? But ultimately, happiness is on you. And wherever you go, there you are. And so it is, it's sort of that idea that I will be happy if I make X amount. I will be happy if, no, either you're happy or you're not, it is not in the external, it's in the internal. So now, how are you guys now?
We're fine. He's like, I describe him as my annoying brother. He's like that sort of a relationship. Like, oh, you're so annoying, but he's kind-hearted and his heart's in the right place. He's just a twit. But yeah, so no, we're good, and we co-parent. And I think though, which I do have discussed this with other friends that have gone through similar experiences, and I've dissected it. And because he was the one that left, and I think because he eventually regretted it, he's the one holding the guilt. So it's actually true. I find how relationships end, I always say to them, who's holding the guilt? And you can tell how the other person interacts with them. It all depends on who's holding the guilt. Yeah. And so if the person holds the guilt, yes. And like, so I could choose to abuse it, which I probably do a little bit, but, but it's mostly more, oh, I'm taking the kids on this week like more about little stuff like kids scheduling, really, more than anything.
Dare you to say anything about it.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I've organized this and you don't get a say, basically. So as opposed to actually like me, I don't use it as a mean, powerful thing.
Right.
More of a just of an ease for my life. But definitely, if you know someone, that always look for where does the guilt lie, and that you can usually tell how a couple will act after they've split up.
But don't you feel like it's easy to say that he left? I mean, I'm not taking up for him. I don't know him and I adore you. But if it was meant to be, going back to our stone path and lighting up thing, if it was meant to be, it would have been. So in a way, did he gift you that?
100%. I thank him every day because, as I said, I wouldn't have left.
Right.
And the second he left, I felt so free. I felt so light. I felt absolutely amazing because I was just in that old programming where you stuck it out no matter how unhappy you were. And I had started to do my spiritual work in the period where we were unhappy. So by the time he'd left, I had done enough work on myself to know actually happiness doesn't matter who's there. It's on you, exactly what you said. It's on you to choose happiness. And it's one of my little mantras that I probably do stick with is to choose happiness. Choose happiness. I consciously choose happiness all the time. That doesn't mean I don't allow myself to be sad at times. Oh, I actually have a seat in my kitchen. It's a stool on the floor, a crying seat. I do. And awesome. So many times I'm sitting down there, it's just a little tiny stool, like from when the kids were little. And I sit there on the kitchen floor and I do. And I am often bawling my eyes out because I do tend to find myself in tricky situations, and it can be tough when you're on your own doing it. And so probably easier to cry in the kitchen as well. But so I'm not saying that I do feel all the feels. I let myself feel all the feels, but then you pick yourself up, you get off the kitchen floor and you go and look at all the amazing things that you do have and the amazing places that we live. And we have these children that are amazing. And we have amazing friends and support, and let yourself feel the sadness, but then go and look for all the other blessings that are right sitting under your nose and feel the gratitude. And because we do live these blessed, amazing lives. We really do, even when you're crying on the kitchen floor.
I have found that if I'm feeling icky, it needs an outlet. So it will either create it'll create a container to put the icky in, like a situation, or I don't know, it's sort of a justification. So same thing, I will let myself see it because I don't want to bypass it, but if I focus on the negative, that's what I will get more of it. And I know that's very Abraham Hicks, but if I focus on the positive, I can kind of turn the ship around because there's always stuff to be upset about, and there's always stuff to be happy about. And sometimes I don't want to be happy. Sometimes I really want to sit and cry on my kitchen stool. and I don't know. There's also something that I think needs to be said. I've heard more people talk about COVID and coming out of COVID. Texas, we kind of barely acknowledged it, and so we were closed for a very short period of time, but it didn't mean it wasn't there, and it didn't mean that it wasn't in the collective. And I know that there is this stagnant, stale energy that has been around, and it's been around me. I mean, that's why I haven't recorded. I make up my mind. I want to do this. No, I don't think I do. I think I want to do that. And I keep going back and forth, but I feel stale. And then I meet people like you who are like, grabbing life by the whatevers and going with it by the gusset and going with it. And did you ever feel that during COVID? I mean, how did COVID affect you?
Well, COVID, because Australia got completely locked down, so we couldn't travel.
God, y'all were 2 years.
And as you were saying, how I'm going for it, I actually trick myself into going for it. And the way I trick myself into going for it is booking travel. So I basically back myself into a corner. I'm like, I know I need to. So that's how I decided to come to the US to bring the products over here. Was I booked 2 flights, and they were the 2 flights I ended up not taking, but I still got the stock here into the Texan warehouse. So I have a warehouse in Texas. I still did it. And it was because I tricked myself into it. So COVID, I was probably looping a lot because we couldn't move. And for me, that made me feel like my wings were clipped. I felt like a caged animal. We had a really strict state premier. So whilst we weren't locked down in our houses, she locked our state down tight. Like we couldn't, like you couldn't have, and family members couldn't come, you couldn't go, like it was locked down. And so I think that actually having that freedom taken away from me triggered a PTSD kind of sorts. And so I actually ended up having really bad nightmares through that. So I think having that freedom back, the second they opened up, I think I was booking flights. So yes, I think also for the talking about the feeling stale and feeling stuck, I think that we all feel that way. And I think the leap, you have to learn how you leap. So learning, for me, I know, book a flight somewhere, say I'm going to do something, tell everyone about it, and then you can't get out of it because you've told everyone you're going over here to do this. So then they'll be like, so how was that when you were doing this? And you kind of like, yeah, you back yourself into a corner, and then you have to do it. You have to follow through. And I think a flight's really good because it's a defined time. Like it is on that date at that time. And you are, unless you cancel it, you have got to be there on that date at that time. So it's sort of like, again, a little trick because there's no going back. Like it is set in stone. So even if you're not ready, even if you don't know what you're doing or wait, you haven't got it organized, doesn't matter. On that date, on that time, you are going forward. And a little thing I used to always say, because when we were working in China, it was back in like mid 2000s. It was quite backwards there. It was really hard to get stuff done. And we'd have a list so long, it would be 1,000,000 degrees. It was like hard work. And I would say to myself and my sister, time keeps moving. Time keeps moving. So at the end of this day, you'll either have the list done or you won't, but you'll be on that train, to be on that plane, to be leaving here. So nothing is set in stone. Nothing is permanent, really. Everything is changing always, just with the movement of time.
Life has changed.
Life changes. It always does. And you just keep going, keep putting that foot in front of the other, keep doing the lists, keep writing your lists, keep actioning them, ticking them off. And eventually you'll look back and go, oh, wow, I did it. It's done already. That actually wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Well, my problem is I rebel against myself. And so I'll say, okay, I'm putting this into place. And then I will say, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Whatever. I mean, it's so self-defeatist. But I think when you turn that around and you say, I get to do this, like I get to get on this flight and I'm going to enjoy a glass of wine and I'm going to watch a movie and, my kids are happy and taken care of. And I get to do this. I mean, and I feel like that's what you do, is that you see this adventure and you go for it because you don't know where it will take you. And you're sitting in Houston at my house, and anyway, I love that you say yes. Tiff used to always say that. And I mean, I love that you say yes. So let's go to the whole metaphysical world. You and I, again, we have discussed a lot of things and we are so in line, and I love meeting people, and I love how people come into my life that are very much in line. I've had a lot of people recently that aren't. I mean, they're pretty much atheists, and which are beautiful because it makes me redefine and it makes me really drill down on who I am and what I am. Do you tell me about your clairs? Do you see? Do you hear? How do you experience the unseen?
I think I'm probably still figuring that out. Like, I know I do, but I don't. I sort of can turn it on so quickly now. I just talk and get answers straight away. So I think that must be. Haven't really ever sat here and discussed what that is. I don't really. I don't see things. I can talk. I can ask questions, and the questions just come back. I don't really know who I'm talking to, but I find it's I sort of probably am at the precipice of really how big it is.
Yeah.
Because the second I had a friend that lost her husband really tragically, and I could just sit there and talk to him, but no heart attack. Okay. Lost it really quickly. Yeah. Anyway, I could sit and talk to him, and he wanted me. He told me what I needed to do for her. He told me what to write in the letter. He told me, all sorts of things like that. And I suppose it's more. I think that we can always do it, but I'm beginning to trust it now. Trust it, that I'm not going crazy.
Fair enough.
And the more that you talk and the more that, and I love even the fact that I can talk to people that are in this world. They don't have to be passed across for me to talk to them. I can talk to anyone at any time, which it might not be what their 3D self knows and understands, but I can definitely talk to their higher self. And so I suppose, yeah, I can have any conversation.
So how does that look? Give me an example of that.
For example, all I do is just think about the person, whether I connect to my higher self first or I can't. That connection's pretty just open all the time. Yeah. So then I can ask questions or have conversations or anything like that and talk directly with them. I suppose it's just the trusting. I still am I'm still on the trusting of it though. That makes sense. Like trusting that it's actually real.
So you can connect to my higher self.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a psychic. I mean, that's psychic. That is. So I've always said we come in, and this is how I've always seen it. That we have this like our contract, our programming, or whatever it is we came to do, and we have it's almost like a heart like E.T. You know, the movie E.T. And there's a heart light, but when we get here, it's flypaper. Like flypaper sticks to it. Love, hate, ambition. Like we get sidetracked, and it calcifies to a certain degree, and so it gets this layer of stuff. And there are some people, I think there are a lot of things I can't do, but sometimes I can remind people of who they are and what they came to do, and it's like it's this laser beam that cuts through it, and I'm guessing you can see the higher timeline. You can see people's higher timeline. Like if I believe that negative voice in my head, I'm going to stay down here and I'm going to say I'm not enough. Who am I to think that I can do X, Y, and Z? Or I can take that higher timeline and say, go do it, man. You got this. and my guess is you can see that you can see that what people are supposed to be doing.
I think that's probably quite right, because even when I'm really good at thinking up ideas, like creative ideas. And so which is probably in line with the higher timeline. If someone came to me and said, like I had a friend, she wanted to start a business. And so we were bouncing ideas around and we eventually created this business for her. This was sort of just over lunch. She didn't want to work in corporate world anymore. And so we found something that aligned with her values, something she was passionate about, something that would be easy that we had the manufacturing contacts that we could do. So it ended up being in Australia, like in the US, you can take home, we call them doggy bags, but the take home food, whatever you don't eat.
Yeah.
In Australia, lots of places that's illegal.
Really?
Because of the food safety things. So for people getting food poisoning and then they get sick.
So if I want to bring my food home, I can't bring my food home?
Yeah. Lots of places say, no, sorry, we don't do that. And my friend was absolutely aghast at the food waste. It's like, but you're just going to throw it in the bin. Why can't I? So we decided we created this take home, like a silicone flat pack that would squash down and be flat in your back, like the dog bowls that, you know, that you can have to put water in. So we were going to call it the homie. And it was going to be silicone that you just have it with you all the time. So if you come under that situation, you can just there's no law saying you can't put your food into your own container and take it home. But who's carrying a container with them when they're out and about? And like, sometimes you don't even know if you're going to lunch. You don't know if you're going to not eat everything. But I'd say that had to be channeled in, like they say there is no actual creative thought. They say everything is channeled into our brains. So like as much as we'd like to take credit for it, it's not our 3D brains that are creating this. It's the inspiration is all being channeled down to us all the time.
I'm sorry, I'm still back on I can't bring home my own food that I just paid.
I know.
I because if I'm a dumbass and I'm putting the food into my car, you know, like mayonnaise in my car and it gets hot, it's kind of on me. I mean, but that's the difference between, you know what, whatever you do kills you.
Yeah.
And, you know. So I get that. No, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. And that's so much of what you and I've discussed all day has been we paralleled. My sister-in-law didn't want to do corporate anymore, and she is fantastically artistic, and she can do anything that she wants to do. And by the end, it's like by the end of our conversation, you should be anyway. I came up with this idea, and she did it, and she was and she's great at it. But that's what I'm saying. You can see that higher timeline. Mm-hmm. You can tap in my mind. What that is you are tapping into the potential. You're tapping into their higher timeline, and
yeah, you can see what aligns. It's like the alignment. You can see, and you can sort of clear away all the stuff. Like it's so easy to battle. Nope. It's like, okay. And then you'll find one little nugget and you'll see, I think you must even feel their energy change or shit. Oh yeah, that's good. I quite like that. And then dig a little bit deeper and then duck and weave until you find the perfect, what actually clicks that would work. Sadly, my darling friend was not, she likes to be miserable. So.
Well, but that's it. I mean, you and I were also talking about the healing and the work that goes into this journey. And I've always likened it. One time we accidentally dried our cat. She crawled into the dryer and it was like the thump. And so that's what I always hear in my head. She was fine, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was really weird. But we had I feel like it's out of balance. And when things are unhealed, it gets like a weight is way over here, so you can't exactly ascend. You're kind of ascending that way, like not in the right direction. The projected direction. And so is there a certain period of time in your life that you did some like heavy healing? Like this is like we've got to clip those corks so that we can rise.
Definitely. I suppose the start of that was when I started splitting up with my ex-husband.
That'll do it.
Oh, and that was when I had that's when they had they call it the awakening, the dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
But I actually think, that's when I was opened up to all of the new terminology, or the new language, all the things. And but it wasn't, but because I felt so free, because I'd done enough work to know I was happy on my own. By the time we split up, I was good. I got an au pair. I had a wife. Like the au pair was my wife, not a real wife, but so life was good. And then we lost a lot. He lost all the money. So that was a bit of a hiccup, but I think it was actually, I dated someone brief for a while and I ended up going through a really dark night of the soul with that person, because it ended up to be all sorts of, I think, split personalities. And I thought I was going crazy because unlike a straight narcissistic relationship or something like that, it's very black and white. But if you're dating someone that is part narcissist, part lovely, sweet, charming gentleman, part 12-year-old boy, part like all of these different things.
Literally multiple personalities.
And undiagnosed as well. So no one knew. And that was the part that actually put me in the deep depths. I was in the depths of despair because I didn't know if I was Arthur or Martha. It was kind of like I was having a spiritual initiation. Like, like it was like going through 5 lifetimes of trying to figure out who I was at my core. And you really do need to come back to basic universal principles when you're going mad like that. And you need to rake it all back in and just like small steps to sort of to heal yourself from something like that. And so I would say he opened my eyes up to so much. And then since then, it's kind of just been like a shedding of, I liken it to the onion. Like we've always got layers to shed, always got layers. So COVID, I did this fantastic breathe exercise because I've been spending the whole year terrible nightmares, PTSD. And in that breathe exercise, I literally birthed a demon with a big black demon and red eyes. And after I had done that, my whole everything changed. Everything, it was like no more nightmare. The nightmares disappeared. I occasionally get one or two if I'm triggered by something on a TV or a book or something. I can't watch the news or anything like that. It's terrible, but I still do these breathes. But what's interesting with the breathes now is now instead of having traumatic experiences or releasing crying or screaming or anger, I've now shifted into the I often see my past lives and it will be like I'll be chanting like a Tibetan monk, or I'll be singing like an angel, or I'll be back in Egypt being fanned by a so I'm now I think I've shifted a lot of that trauma, and now I'm going back and I'm not even, sometimes you don't even know what you've learned from the experience, but you just know afterwards you always feel so at peace. And it's the times when I've experienced what I expect the bliss is on the other side, like what we actually feel when we're not here. And it's through that, yeah, those breathing things where I've really felt that absolute, where I've nearly heard angels singing, and just it's such a euphoric, bliss is the only word I like. It's like total joy. It's just everything is like it's just a complete serenity, joyous peace kind of feeling.
So is this breath work? Is it a meditation? What is it?
Well,
I think we'll want to know.
I know. I think it's breath work, a form of breath work, and I'm not sure. The amazing woman who takes us through it is extremely spiritual, and she's constantly arguing with Archangel Michael. they butt heads apparently.
He can handle it.
He can handle it totally. So I assume it's her version of breath work.
Well, I don't want to share that if it's sort of her.
Well, it changes every time because I think she reads the energy in the room and she figures out what this particular. But it's really interesting because they've done it so often now. You can see where she's anchoring people in the circle, and it'll only be 10 or 12 people, like it's not large groups. But you can see how she anchors, and like newbies will be put across from one that's done it a lot. And I now can see how she kind of works the room energetically.
Wow.
And she does a lot with the energy that you don't even know that she's doing. And so every breathe is different because she reads what people, where they're at, if someone's stuck, if they're not stuck. So I don't even think you could put a formula onto it because it's just really intuitive. It's amazing.
So is this the one that you were talking about, that it's shallow breath, deep breath? I mean, so it just really
all over. And she'll just read. So it might be like baby breath, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. It'll be like long breath, like in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your nose, in through, like, and she just keeps like, do it now, now hold 1, 2, 3, 4, now 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
And just keeps getting, and I think it's a thing called, you can get a thing called, I might get this name, tetanus or something, which is where you're fighting it. She can tell if your body's fighting it and whether you won't allow. And it's basically the biggest form of surrender, I suppose, is what she's actually, if you wanted to put a word on what she's doing, if that's the resistance, and then that's when whatever needs to flow out flows out.
Wow.
It's quite amazing. Like people can be sick, all sorts of things can happen.
I had one time when Charles was, we were, I don't know, we've been dating about a year, and this is before I really kind of came online. And I just remember I had this dream that there was this black, like brown, kind of swirly big thing on him. And I, a lot, when I have dreams and it's all black and it's almost like a stage, like there's just a spotlight on that person. And I was scared, and the thing got bigger and bigger as my fear kind of fed it. And I called, I too, I haven't told you this, but I too had a person that would therapist, but really she saw things and she knew things. And I called her, and she was there. She was eating, and she's like, you got this. And I looked at it, and I basically, in really rough words, said, go away, motherfucker, you gotta go, I'm not afraid of you, bring it. And it just went like black smoke, and it was gone. It was the most incredible thing. So I do believe that there are these entities out there, and there are these but I think sometimes, and I may be speaking really out of turn here, sometimes they're for us to realize how powerful we are. And I don't know where to put the rest of them. I mean, I know that people have had experiences that are really scary. And so I'm not speaking to that. I'm just speaking to what I saw. And so it's interesting, the demons and birthing demons. And do you think that's a metaphor, or what do you think that was?
I actually, do you know what? I think if I try to figure out what that was,
yeah, you know, I don't want to go there.
I might go. I just now, and also I think once your mind gets opened up, and the more you go down the path and meet like-minded people and have conversations about them, I think that you can't. Our 3D brains cannot actually process what it is, what it means, and what it's doing. I think that I just have become really accepting of, okay, it was, and now it's not, and it's gone, and we're good. Next layer.
So I too believe that we can only go so far in the structure that we're in, and we want to bump up against that, and we want to go beyond that, and we want to know the secrets of the universe. We want to know, but in the framework that we're in, we can only go so far. It's like we just kind of keep ping-ponging. You know, you're not going to go to, third grade and learn. I mean, maybe you are, but for the most part, you're not going to learn quantum mechanics. You're just not. And so you can only go so far. So I love that you said that, because I think that's a great reminder that there are some things you just don't know, and you have to be okay not knowing. My brain wants to know, and it's constantly trying to put the puzzle together. And I mean, to a fault, really, because it really bugs me. And I went on this ghost tour last weekend. I was telling you about this. And I've been really tripped up on, where do we go when we die? I see dead people. I talk to dead people. I don't really see them, but I talk to them, and I know they're there, and I'm it's kind of cool. But when it comes to you and your life, it's a little bit different. It's no longer in theory, like, you're going to be okay. It's good. Your dad's still here. It's my dad. And oh my God, what do I do with this grief? Because I think as humans, we have to feel the grief. And I mean, kind of, we agreed to feel these different things. Where I'm going with this is, I just remember looking at my grandfather thinking, and I was 7, thinking, where are you? You were just here. And I was there when my mom's husband, my dad, when he died. And it was the most incredible gift that he gave me. But I'm still sitting there thinking, where are you? Like, you were just here, and I keep getting tripped up on this. And after this ghost tour, I was talking to the person that gave the ghost tour, and she's wonderful. And she's actually been on the show, Kathleen Macca. And we're talking about dimensions and so on and so forth. Later that night, I had the most incredible experience. They showed me, I started to tell you this, basically what I was told and what I experienced. It was more of an experience than a telling. Was, how do I say this? It is very singular. It's just you. Everybody goes through it, but it is just you, and only you can go through it. So you are truly by yourself experiencing this, and it's very natural. And it's sort of like birthing a child. I know that, I don't know about you, but the first time I was pregnant and my breasts did weird things, and I mean, all the stuff, you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. But it's natural. And when you're going through the process, billions of people have gone through it before you. And that's the way death is. And it is a detaching from our body and just kind of going into a different form. And they let me experience that to the best of my degree, for where we are, and it brought me a lot of peace. So I don't know how to segue that back into whatever word it was we were talking about, but anyway, it's kind of cool. So much of this stuff is so experiential,
Yes.
You can't really.
I haven't had many people close to me die, so I have been lucky in that sense. But the book that we were talking about earlier by Dr. Brian Weiss, the Many Lives, Many Masters. I think that book there has a really great description, because he regresses them back to past lives, but he in the regressions, they also describe the death process, which is, but it's like he's regressing to traumatic experiences, because he's trying to figure out what the causes are in this current lifetime psychological issues are. And lots of them, and it's so clearly described, where it's, oh, I'm in a lot of pain, oh, and then the peace, and I'm back with the masters. And it's always, oh, and then, oh no, now it's gone, because he actually regresses them back into the part where there's lots of the times it's where they cross over and like, oh no, and now I'm back with them. They calls them the masters. But they also say an interesting thing is that the masters won't let you know I know there is no linear time, but the forward things, the masters won't let you know. They'll only let you know the back things, which is really interesting.
You know why that is?
No.
My theory is that is because it hasn't happened yet. Though, speaking to it's all happened.
I know.
It is a potentiality, and it makes it happen right then.
Yes.
Did you ever see What the Bleep Do We Know?
Oh, yes, I did. Yes.
The scene where they have the basketball and they throw it?
Yes.
And it can land anywhere until you turn around and you look at it and it landed right there. To me, that helps that. Yeah. That because if you in some form it's already happened.
A bit like how if you might mess it up.
Absolutely.
Like a little sliding doors. It's like, but I know where that door. Yeah, a little bit.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's like
I can't.
Movies.
You can't because otherwise you can. Yes, you'll change it. It won't be the same.
Right. But then, and then you can get totally head tripping because you can say, well, maybe we're supposed to know this.
Supposed
to,
to change it to. I know, and then you're in the loop and you're too much.
Yeah, that's exactly. It is
away.
that loop. Well, okay. So tell me, where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? I asked you this before. Where do you want to see yourself in? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? 5 years. So how old will you be? How old will the kids be?
47. Now we'll be just finishing school if she does the whole school and I don't yank her out to come work with me. I want to travel with the kids. And I want to do this business. This business helps women. If I expand it, it will be into other areas that help women as well. I'd really like to actually probably also be on a bit of the talking. I want to talk. I want to talk to women. I want to help women. And I just want to travel the world with my kids and my laptop, basically doing my work, going places, cool experiences. Like I'm all about experiences in this life. So yeah, taking them on their summer holidays to Argentina for 2 months and learn to ride horses or play polo or something, live in the south of France for a month in their summer, in our winter, their summer holidays. Like to me, I love that immersion into a culture. Like I actually don't feel like I'll live in Australia still. I feel like I've lived there technically my whole life. And I just think it's time. I think it's time for more. So yeah, 5 years, I reckon I will not be living there. I'll be living somewhere else or traveling extensively all the time.
And I want it to be very clear. I want to be very clear that you're not a trust. I mean, I'm assuming
no,
you're not a trust fund kid that has, $1 billion in the bank and I get to do whatever I want. I mean, you are figuring this out as you go the way the rest of us are.
Definitely. Right? 100%.
So now that is something that I'm working on, is a series about how people define and they redefine the structures of life and they redefine what the norm is. So how love looks. I mean, we've all talked about that. How relationships are, how work is. I think COVID has gone a long way in helping redefine that. And I do think that these structures need to be malleable. And that's what I hear you saying. And you want to raise your kids in a way that best fits your whole, not just you, not just them, everybody. Like nobody has to be sacrificed in order for the other person to be happy. Right?
Definitely. And I want my kids to think bigger too. Like you don't need to, like the old programs, the old, like go to uni, get a job, work there, transfer somewhere else, get married, have the kid. Like I just think, and my mum actually did make me go to uni straight out of school. And that's how I became an engineer. I didn't actually really want to be an engineer, but I was good at science and math, so do engineering.
Background.
But because she knew if I didn't go to uni straight away, I would be gone. And I would be, and who knows, I'm sure I would have figured it out along the way. I don't know where I would have ended up or landed, but she knew that I just had that bug. And, and so I still have the bug. I've just sort of got the degree, had the kids, and now I'm ready to launch somewhere and show the kids they can launch somewhere too.
Well, and I think maybe that's that next generation, is that you don't have to have that background, because we are taught that that background provides a sense of foundation, security. Because I didn't have it. I've always hated structure, and looking back, I can see the reasons, and I can see where I fell short. But I blamed myself for a very long time for that. Like I was less than because I didn't have, I mean, I have enough hours to have a degree. My minor's in architecture. I'm a designer, but I got busy and I had a bunch of clients, and then I had a baby, and and I just, life got in the way. And it's so funny because my mom keeps saying, you need to go back. You need to go back. What will your kids think? You need to go back. I'm like, for what?
I think we're done.
For what? I've moved on. I mean, maybe podcasting. I mean, do I need a degree in podcast? No. So I do see where I didn't fit in the religion. I didn't fit in the schooling, but it's taken its toll on me. I mean, I've let that go now pretty much. It's still probably there a little bit because I'm still talking about it, but yeah, I don't know. So I love that you're teaching your kids that, because there is a formula. You go to school, you get married, you have kids, and I'm not sure how women fit into that. I'm not sure how women. So to take a right turn and say, okay, so this is, you don't know this. Anybody listening, you may have heard this. So I'm sorry, but it must bear repeating. I've always said it's like going down the autobahn of life. It's clearly marked with all the other cars, the lanes, the highways set forth. It is, you have the signage, you're good to go. But then there's always been something over there. And I'm like, wait, what's over there? No, keep going. We're going 100 miles an hour. Yeah. But what's over there? No. Finally, I'm like, oh, and my car goes there. I have no clue where I'm going. And it's not marked, and it's bumpy. But that's where the fun begins. That's where the adventure begins. And that's what you're teaching your kids. That's beautiful. Bravo. That really is beautiful. Okay, so people want to reach out to you if they want to find you. I know it's Skanties, SKANTIES.co.
Yes.
But and can they reach you through the website?
Yes. So either hello@skanties.co or Susie, SUSIE, @skanties.co.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being my first show back in a very long time.
Thank you I love this conversation. It was so fabulous. Fabulous. And just so aligned, meant to be. Here we are on that road. I just took that turn you're talking about. Yeah. Into Houston. Here we are, bump, and sat down.
Just heading back to Fort Worth tomorrow. Well, Fort Worth tomorrow?
Yeah, Fort Worth. Yep.
Yeah. I love Fort Worth.
Yep.
Anyway, well, thank you again. And reach out to her, check out her stuff. I mean, I'm feeling this, and it's like a whoopee. I mean, it is the softest thing. So check it out. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Drop in your comments. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, we'll both be checking it, and she'll respond, or I will respond, or both. So you guys have a great week.
Bye.